Probably noticed I'm at the other side of the camera today. It's the biggest adventure I'm going on this week. Okay, so I thought I'd just quickly review the Hobbit trailer which came out this morning, because I think it's a trailer that really has a lot to talk about. And from the get-go, we're in familiar territory. I mean, this is classic Lord of the Rings feel, Peter Jackson feel, and it just feels like you've put on a nice, cosy pair of slippers that you always wear. Basically, the plotline is these dwarves want to take back their home, and they need a 14th member of their expedition to go do so. So they go and recruit Bilbo Baggins from the Shire, and then adventure ensues. And from the get-go, we get the tone of the dwarves as well. They're kind of like this jolly, theatrical bunch of dwarves, and that's a really bad term to put. But no, they have a more light-hearted approach to situations than other characters in, the past Lord of the Rings films have. And, that may be for a good change or a bad change. We'll have to see the film to find out. I think the most spectacular thing about the dwarves is the one that looks exactly like Robin Williams. I mean, I cannot be the only one who thinks that is Robin Williams shrunk down as a dwarf. So once we get a basic idea of the plot, the tone of the dwarves, where the story's going, the trailer kicks in and we're in full gear. And we're introduced to a whole array of familiar characters. I mean, there's Elrond, who, who's one of my favourite characters in the whole of the Lord of the Rings franchise. Just seeing him, it really gives you a great sense that, the Lord of the Rings films connect into this one more, so, when you've got just smaller characters making appearances in this film. And then there's that person's name I just can't pronounce, Galadriel, or, whatever her name is. And she's in it as well, which, again, enhances the sense that these are two connected, stories. But this is the first time in the trailer that we've actually got a full, glimpse of Gollum, and he still looks fantastic, and his interaction that we see in the scene with Bilbo Baggins is just still top-notch, work of CGI, and just Andy Serkis bringing a fantastic performance just through motion capture. And there seems to be a lot of CGI used in this film as well, like, trolls, wolves, etc. And it actually seems like the interaction between the human characters and the CGI characters works quite smoothly as well. I mean, as John Hammond in Jurassic Park would say, they've spared no expense. That kind of came out of Sean Connery. Again, the cinematography of the landscape is beautiful. Peter Jackson, has captured the whole of, New Zealand where he shoots, and he's made it seem like this fantastic fantasy, like, open world vistas, and it's just breathtaking cinematography and top notch. And since this world focuses more on the adventure and the fantasy, we're given a more, vibrant art style to the Lord of the Rings films, because toward, like Two Towers, that was kind of a bleaker, darker film, and then compared to Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, which was more of a lighter, as you were, first going into this world and experiencing it. And that seems to capture more of the Fellowship of the Rings art style, as it's a, it's a fantasy world and we're experiencing it and exploring it, and it looks like it's going to be really beautiful to look at. It seems like it really captures the magic of the world that is Middle-earth, instead of, like Lord of the Rings, which took more, of the political side of it, and, it was just, towards the end, it was just all-out war. This seems to focus on more, the smaller aspects of the world, just like, trolls, wolves again, just fantasy elements of the world. And then we get that fantastic montage at the end where we get a voiceover and we just see clips and clips and clips. And if I'm guessing this is all from the first part of the film, and it looks like it's going to be a really fantastic and fun adventure as well. And it looks like it's still got that Lord of the Rings-esque tone while still maintaining, that it's a bit lighter in tone. But with it being lighter in tone, it comes to one of my main problems, and that is the trailer seems to be focusing a lot on humour, and humour's fine when it's used correctly in films. It can be a great tension breaker, but in this it was used quite a lot, and I don't want it to, just take away from the seriousness or the gravity of some situations. I mean, like the Avengers and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, they had times where the humour just became a little bit too much for me, and it kind of brought me out of the experience, and you were like, okay, I need to get into a more serious, darker plot line here to sink my teeth into. And it's been years since I read the book, and I understand that the book is lighter in tone compared to like the other Lord of the Rings films, but it just feels like I don't want them to overplay it and it just to become, just a constant barrage of just, comical anecdotes and sequences. I want to have, you know, something to just grit my teeth into. But apart from that, I'm extremely pumped for this film. I think it looks fantastic. I think it looks like it's a service to the Lord of the Rings film. I think it, you know, it's taken on board what the fans want. It's got a really visual, exciting experience. The cast looks great. I'm glad to see, you know, returning faces, you know, Gandalf, Gollum, etc. It just looks like it's going to be one hell of a time at the cinemas, and just a fantastic adventure. And I'm really, really pumped for this film. So let me know what you think of this. I think it looks phenomenal, but if you leave a comment down below, I'll read it, and I'll, you know, I'm interested to see what you have to say on this film. And as usual, if you like what you see here, you can just click subscribe and you can see more.
Well, that could have been worse.
You've got to be joking!